Okay, so hi, Megan. It's really lovely to be connecting with you today. I'm very excited to be talking about herbal medicine and how it can support um, mothers in the transition to parenthood, so pregnancy, birth, and matrescence. And I read a blog the other day that you'd written about using herbs through matrescence, and I just loved it. So hopefully we'll talk a bit more about that. But for people who don't know me, I'm Mel. I'm the founder of All Things Birth and Beyond, and I am passionate about supporting and informing families and mothers in their transition to parenthood and ensuring physically and emotionally on that journey. So, Megan, tell me a little bit more about how you came to be a herbal medicine practitioner, and how it all works in supporting the the perinatal year, I guess.
Yeah, and beyond.
And beyond, absolutely.
So, I came to herbal medicine very much through my family. I was raised, we started off as sort of quite a typical family, taking the kind of, sugar syrup, paracetamol when, you've had a bit of a fever, but you needed to get to school because there was a big test or whatever, mommy give me the stuff. But my mum started learning about natural remedies because my brother has special needs, and she had heard about how natural remedies and gut health could really help children under the autism umbrella. So we started going to the health food store, as it was called back then, which wasn't nearly as mainstream as it is now, and just started learning bits as family over time. And then when I was very much in early adulthood, starting, to be more independent, the digestive issues I had always had, which I just kind of thought were, well, that's just how it is. I realized actually that they were more serious than that. So I started learning more myself about how to sort out my gut. And eventually, through lots of sifting and the various consultations with people who weren't actually herbalists, but I thought they were herbalists.
Okay.
The first 2 times I went to a herbalist, I wasn't actually going to see a herbalist. But I figured out that what I was looking for was herbal medicine. Mm-hmm. And that helped me be able to sort out my own digestive health. Mm-hmm. And then I thought, right, I want to learn more about this. So when I have a family, I can support them and be confident doing that with herbs, knowing about family health, knowing about herbal medicine. And then I just, I was like, no, I have to do this. This is what I need to do with my life. Yeah. So I spent half a decade training, qualifying, and to be where I am today, which is as a practitioner. So I guess just a bit of a brief statement then of what herbal medicine is, given that I didn't realize what it was.
Yeah, that'll be helpful.
Yeah. So herbal medicine is using whole plant remedies to support health, to bring the body back into balance. And we do that with using opposites. So if you've got something where there's a lot of heat, we're using cooling herbs. If you've got something that's very wet, for example, lots of phlegm and lots of mucus, we'll use drying herbs. So we're balancing with opposites. And that's very much different to other modalities like homeopathy, for example, often gets confused with herbal medicine. Their core principle is treating like with like. So if there's heat in the body, they'll use something that's heating. If there's wet in the body, they'll use something that's moistening. And those are sort of with little, you may have seen the little white pills, which is sort of, I guess,
different to herbal medicine.
Yeah, it's different. Yeah, it's different. Yeah. It is still using plants, but it's a totally different process. So I use whole plants and the sort of balancing with opposites method. And I'm personally very much informed by the Ayurvedic tradition of energetics. So that's looking at different people having different body types. And I'm not talking about, are you an apple or a pear shape,
Yeah.
And of course, when we're pregnant, it's like, I am pregnant shape right now.
Yeah.
But it's more about not everybody is the same. So not only are we looking at the dynamics and the properties of the herbs, we're looking at the dynamics of you as an individual, and we're matching those up. So it's very much bespoke medicine rather than it being one size fits all. Now, that being said, there are a couple of sort of over the counter basic, remedies that I do have for, common things like coughs and colds and that sort of thing. But in general, it's bespoke support for the individual. And that can be whether you're pregnant, whether you're a new mom, whether you're a not so new mom, and for infants, toddlers, children, tweens, etc. So
I was going to say for anyone really, I mean, like, it's I've experienced herbal medicine and it's just like amazing. So you've recently become a mum,
yes,
yourself, and tell us more about how your herbal medicine practice, because you said you decided you wanted to study this so that you could when you had a family. Now you have a family, so tell us how you found using herbal medicine in that journey, or on that ongoing journey, really.
Ongoing journey. It's been brilliant, really. So I supported my entire even before pregnancy, sort of pregnancy prep with herbs. My husband and I both took my little mixes. All of pregnancy, anything, I was very fortunate. It was very smooth sailing, but anything that came up, I supported myself with herbs. Labor, you were there. My herbal protocol. So I only used herbs for any kind of support I needed with that. Postpartum, mood was definitely a big thing. So lots of peaceful mum tea.
Yeah.
Which is getting a little bit known in the York area now, which is great. And anything she's now 18 months old, my daughter has needed from day one. And part of the really empowering thing about knowing herbal medicine and therefore knowing the body is my daughter hasn't really needed much because I understand what's going on. So I always talk about, everything feels like an emergency when we don't know what's going on.
Yeah. And we worry and we panic.
Yeah.
And panic.
Yeah. And then it's just kind of what's happening? Is this an emergency? Can I make them comfortable? Somebody fix it. But having that knowledge myself, and you don't have to be a practitioner to have that level of knowledge. I run workshops so that parents can get informed and educated about basic family health and how to use herbs with that, so that the difference between this is an emergency and we need emergency services because that's what they're there for.
Yeah.
Or, okay, baby has a fever. Here's what we're working with. Here's how we can support it. So, I've got a couple little mixes, which I do sell as well, that my daughter's had since 6 months, I think. She loves them. She's such a mini herbalist. My husband is like, whoa, that is really pokey stuff. And she's like, drops, please. I'm teasing. Can I have some drops, please? But we've used herbal teas in the bath for calming, for relaxing. Anything that's gone in or on her has exclusively been something that I have made myself. Which is, I'm feeling saying that it's extremely empowering, and it means that I'm 100% confident that this brand new little person who's like perfect, and I don't just be like, oh, my baby, she's perfect. You know what I mean? Like brand new little person to the world.
Exactly.
Gunk on their skin. They were like, I want her skin. She's got this perfect. I don't want to put, whatever on her. So I know that anything she's had on her or in her is completely natural and not like greenwashed natural, like genuinely, even the topical stuff, you wouldn't want to eat it, but you could eat it, which is always my sort of test. Would I ingest this? I mean, you really want to eat beeswax, but you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So I know what to do when. Know that everything she's ever had for support is completely natural. And we have never, ever, ever needed, touch wood, you know, we've never needed any outside help. I remember we sort of got called by the local GP's office and they were like, have you had a baby recently? Oh yeah. Do you need, no, we're good. We haven't needed to come to you for any reason. So thanks. Okay, I'll sign up at some point, whatever. But you know, it's a real feeling of independence. It's a real feeling of confidence. It's a real feeling of control. And I mean that in a like a I've got this way, not like I'm a control freak way, although
Yeah.
and it's a real feeling of safety. You know, we feel really comfortable as a family, as a unit. And it's just so reassuring to know that I've been able to give that to her.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. I mean, just like listening to you speak, like I'm getting excited. I'm just like, it's so incredible for families who are wanting to find chemical-free, natural support with their health and well-being. It is possible. It is possible. And just like you're saying, like that's a really useful reminder. Like something topical, you wouldn't necessarily eat it, but you could eat it, and that really is kind of like a good bar to set, I guess. And the fact that you talk about it being bespoke, actually looking at each individual and what are they presenting with, and then thinking about, okay, how can you support them? I'm really interested to know. So yeah, I definitely don't want to go and do like, I don't know, how long was your training? 5 years or 7 years, or I don't know.
Yeah, my training was like 4 or 5 years. So
yeah,
that's
a long time.
a like professional clinical qualification with like 500 clinic hours and all that stuff. That's not for like the average family.
No, exactly. So for someone like me who doesn't want to go and do yet another degree,
I hear you.
but just wants to be able to support themselves and their families. You mentioned that you offer courses and workshops. Can you talk me through that a little bit, please?
Yeah, so I've got a couple of courses and workshops running in Yorkshire this year, and those are in-person ones at two of my favorite gardens. I just gush over them every time I think of them because they're gorgeous. So one of them is Helmsley Walled Garden, and that is a sort of full day workshop format, and there's one a season.
So just one day?
So it's just one day.
Okay.
And you can do an individual season, or you can do all four. They're sort of independent, but they work together. We don't repeat herbs, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah. So you could do standalone, or you could do like
exactly, yeah,
more than one. Yeah. And then what do you kind of cover? Thinking about joining, what kind of things would you cover through the day?
Yeah, so it's really, really, it's really sensory because like you said, yet another degree. I know what you mean. So it's definitely, it's an experience. I think that at this point in life, there's such a benefit to, excuse me, there's such a benefit to learning through the senses rather than rote memorization. You know, you can have as many herbal medicine books on your shelf as you want. Testimony. But to do it hands-on with somebody who knows what they're talking about, it just gets into your bones. So on the workshops, we're smelling herbs, we're tasting herbs, and you learn how to, it's almost like learning how to do wine tasting. You learn, okay, when I taste this, it means that this herb does that. So we cover a certain set of herbs in the workshops and on the courses, but you then get the skills to go home and think about, okay, now I've got this herb growing in my garden. Let me taste it. Ooh, okay, yeah, actually that's going to be really good for, bugs and coughs and colds and that kind of thing. Or, ooh, this is going to be really calming. So it gives you those, teach someone to fish type skills.
Yeah. So will you talk about kind of common family ailments and things like that? I mean, or is it more just to kind of learn how to make your own potion? I call them potions because I just imagine like going and gathering and
everyone should have a family apothecary in their house. That is my mission. So the courses I've got running now, they're not on specific ailments or chunks of ailments. Some of them do, I've got a weekly one that runs for 6 weeks at Scampston.
Okay.
And that one we focus on sort of a different system of the body each week.
Okay.
And that's like during the day, during the weekday. So just, different people at different schedules. So we're doing similar things, but learning through different systems. But what I am wanting to do, and getting the feelers out there, is I do really want to get together a sort of family medicine specific course. So you'll definitely get the benefits going on the other ones, but it will be great to have some feedback. Anybody, watching this video who sees this, is that something you'd be interested? What kind of timing would work for you so that I can get together something that works for families? Because I want to make a specific workshop for that.
Yeah, that'll be amazing. Definitely let me know the information for that when you kind of have a better idea of how that's going to pan out. I know at the moment any families that kind of speak to me about whether it's postnatal, the first 40 days and perennial calming mom's nerves or parents' nerves, or it's kind of just helping see you through like the sleepless nights or whatever. You've got amazing things to offer for those. And I often gift families one of your bundle of joy boxes. And then we're also telling me you've just created a range of, I think you said there were 6 different products that you've created for babies, which would kind of replace what we generally tend to have on our shelves with all the kind of off the shelf or over the counter medicine.
Which means that you can stock your family medicine cabinet with natural alternatives. Like I always say, there is almost always a natural alternative. Most of those sort of infant, child, toddler remedies have evolved from developing things for my own child. Some of them have come from clients whose children I support. So hearing that there's in the middle of the night and I really don't want to give them that over the counter thing, but I don't know what else there is, so I just got it and I gave it to them and I'm like, okay, right, let me make you let me sort that out for you. So you never ever, especially because so many of us who are interested in giving our children and our families and ourselves natural things to support our health, there can be so much information out there that sometimes it's really hard to sift through. Like, okay, well, this looks natural, but is it really, So,
and you read through like the list of ingredients on the back.
Yeah. And then there's always like something you've got to compromise on and go, And I've got this, I don't know, I probably caused more problems for myself with this, but this kind of no compromise sort of attitude when it comes to medicinal and health things for my child and for our family. So everything that I make is something that I would use on myself, probably have, or have used or would use on my own child. So it's like the pickiest person who exists, me, I have filtered it and I have made it for you. So you don't have to worry about it. You can just use it. And then you've just got it and you don't have to think, oh, I don't really want to give them this, but you've just got it. And then, okay, it's safe. I can use it. It's going to work. Here we go.
Yeah. Amazing.
It tastes nice, but
I'm curious, do you grow your own plants and herbs and things for your apothecary, or do you have a supplier? Like, I don't know, like I said, I just have this vision of like making lotions and potions with plants. Like, I think perhaps I was like a plant medicine woman in a previous life or something. I just have visions of like, being out in the moors and harvesting things. So yeah,
I do a mix. I do have a herb garden. It's all organic. All the seeds are organic and everything. And I use my own 2 little dirt under the nails hands. Got plenty of that to do this weekend, actually. But that's also a work in progress. It's not got everything I want in there yet. So there is a mix of growing my own, making my own from scratch like that, and using my trusted suppliers who are all suppliers for professionals. And everything they supply is either certified organic, or, as many of us are aware, sometimes smaller companies who are doing everything in organic and sustainable ways can't necessarily afford the official certification. So it's that kind of level, or companies who, again, they've got very organic or biodynamic ways of growing things, and everything's very sustainable. So I source only from companies I trust for things I have to buy in. So again, it's that, like, anything you're getting from me, it's already been vetted.
Yeah.
I've done all the legwork, which is just like one less thing you have to spend time and energy and, give some of your, have on your mental load. As a parent, you can just get what you need and get it sorted.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Mentioning mental load. Yeah. Every parent will be able to kind of know exactly what you're talking about when you mention that. I know you've been doing quite a lot of stuff, or like I said, I read that blog about Matrescence, and so probably quite a few people don't even know what Matrescence is. Do you want to kind of just talk a little bit about that? Support that stage?
Sure. Yeah. So I actually, when I was doing my qualification, my sort of final paper was a case study on matrescence and using herbs for matrescence. Matrescence is the journey of becoming a motherhood. So when we think, a similar word to it is adolescence. So you think, cast your mind back if you dare. And, so everybody's very aware of adolescence, right? There are hormone changes, your sense of who you are is evolving, the way you relate to the world, even how your body moves. I mean, we have all this, stereotypes of the clumsy teenagers. They're just like, they don't know where their bodies are, right? That we go through that same process.
Yeah.
When we become mothers. So various people define it in different ways. I like to include all the way from the beginning of that, trying to conceive journey, because, it's different for different people. It's shorter or longer for different people. Yeah. Sometimes it was non-existent and it just happens, all different scenarios. So the beginning of that through pregnancy, birth, and then after you've had the baby. And that's not just the 4th trimester, which is very important. But, there's a lot of, so you seem to get the sense when you look at a lot of the mainstream literature and whatnot of, okay, if they go to the 4th trimester, and then after that, tick, you're back to normal. No, you're not. Because your hormones, just like during adolescence and just as they do further on in the menopause, your hormones are finding I know this phrase has been ruined for all of us, but a new normal. But they're finding a new balance. So you hormonally, you mentally, you emotionally, you identity wise, you even, you in your physical space, who you are changes and evolves as you begin this journey into motherhood, and it continues to change throughout, and it changes again. Have another child, and again, if you have another child, and it's always evolving as your children are growing. And then
I was going to say, with every child, it'll happen again with the hormones, but actually throughout life, like even with that one child. So like I've been a mother to an 18-year-old Gabby, but I haven't been a mother to a 10-year-old Sam. So so it'll change. I guess change is also the only thing we can really rely on being constant in our lives.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's this not extra, but it's this another round of becoming and evolving as who we are, just like what happened in adolescence. So traditionally there are all kinds. I've got like a whole shelf full of books that's a whole shelf dedicated to just herbs and women's things, quote unquote, but and they're all brilliant books written by brilliant teachers, some of whom I've had the great privilege of studying with for many years in person. But they don't go into, it's like the practical physical stuff. Okay, do you need some help with perineal healing after birth? Okay, use these herbs, which was brilliant. I use them. There's kind of, or do you need support with increasing milk supply or something? Take these, all sort of classic ones, and you can find those in blog posts all over the internet. But looking at matrescence more as a process of identity and as a state of being that is a very dynamic, becoming, evolving state of being, herbs we can use to support ourselves during that process. And sometimes it's very tangible stuff like, oh my God, my nipples. And sometimes it's very physical things that get impacted and thrown off and thrown out of balance with everything that's going on around us, like screaming baby and feeding, and I'm really sleep deprived. So we use herbs to support the nervous system, because that being a very physical, frazzly thing that happens. And we use those herbs like the best hair straightener ever. And sometimes it's just more of the pure emotional, spiritual, soul, energetic, like I just need to be held. I need herbs I need something. Obviously I would use herbs to help with this. I need something so that I can just go have a good cry and feel okay about that. Or I need something that's just going to clear the space for me a bit. So, and that, different people have different levels of like woo and pop woo and whatever they like to go into. And, the herbs are there no matter what, what your personal preferences, but they can also be used for that kind of stuff. So they really like the gentle, the holding, and especially because a lot of that does manifest in the physical. There's a brilliant book by, I can never remember his name because I think it's Dutch. It's called The Body Keeps the Score.
Oh yeah.
And all of the emotions and the experiences and how those get stuck in our muscles and our fascia and our bones. If you've ever been to a really good body worker session, and you don't know why, but by the end you're crying. It's because you've got emotions and experiences.
Releasing those emotions. That's Bessel van der Kolk, Body Keeps the Score.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like a whole other
It's a
conversation.
whole other thing. Yeah.
I'm so excited. I mean, we need to wrap up this conversation today. I mean, we're definitely going to have more conversations, because for hours and hours and hours when we get together.
Yeah.
So yeah, there'll definitely be more times for us to kind of share our conversations with others. But I just wanted to kind of just pick up on one thing that you said when you were talking about matrescences. You even mentioned menopause, and I think that's like it's just so exciting that medical herbalism, or and I'm never sure if it's medical herbalism or herbal medicine practice. I'm not really sure which order the words go in, but it kind of supports us through life. And that's the exciting thing about what we're creating at All Things Birth and Beyond, is that we want to support people right from the very beginning through birth and beyond, like that whole journey. So it's just amazing to know that we can kind of signpost people to you at whatever stage that they're kind of in, if they need support or whatever. But Meghan, thank you so much for spending time with me today and telling me a little bit more about herbs and how they support matrescence. And I look forward to speaking to you again soon.
Brilliant. Speak soon.
Take care.
Bye.